All the Mosaic religions are about to enter a fast. For me as a Christian, we are entering the Easter fast. For the Jews, entering the Esther fast. And for Islam, entering Ramadan. This is a time where, if you fail to plan around your training and your nutrition, then you plan to fail with your training and your nutrition, and your results will show for it. So in this video, we're going to talk about just how to approach training and nutrition during a season of fasting, and how to continue maintaining or maybe even seeing results despite everything going on. My name is Ely. I'm a strength coach for cyclists. Let's dive in. All right, real quick, before we talk about this is so heavy, before we talk about the nutrition and the training and the cycling and the strength and all of that stuff, more important is the heart, the spirit. Especially if you're doing a fast, you have one of two options. Either you're doing a fast as some kind of like tradition, ritual, you're just kind of going through the motions, or you're doing it for a reason. And if you are the latter, then I want to read a passage to you from, this is a like 200 something year old Bible, by the way. Jeremiah, Isaiah, it's in Roman numerals, 5, 6, 7, 8, 58, verses 6 and 7. Got it. Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bonds of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that you break every yoke? Is it not to deal your bread to the hungry, and give to the poor, and those that are cast out of their house? When you see the naked, go cover them, and do not turn yourself away from your own flesh and blood. Because, I don't know if you could see the dust that came out of that. At the end of the day, fasting is not about a ritual or about the sacrifice of food, but it's about our hearts and where our hearts are before God. In the Bible, it says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. And so where truly is your heart? All right, now we got the important stuff out of the way, we can get into the nitty-gritty. Cool. So the principles I want to talk about today are going to apply whether you are Jewish or Christian or Muslim, or you are just doing intermittent fasting for weight loss, because in one way or another, you are depriving yourself of food. You are fasting. And so first, let's talk about training. What you normally want to make sure is you have some kind of hydration, and depending on what kind of training you're doing, some kind of energy. So if you're doing intermittent fasting, or if you're doing Ramadan, where you're taking some time off and you're not eating, not drinking, then you have a few options. If it is a short and not too intense session, or like, let's say if it's under 1 hour, or if you're adapted to not drinking a lot during your sessions, then you probably could get it done right before you break your fast. We call this fasted cardio. It does have a few benefits, including fat loss. I'm not going to go into the specifics and go into the science and everything like that, but that is an option. And so for intermittent fasting, for example, doing it right before you eat, fantastic. But the difference between intermittent fasting and Ramadan is they can drink. So they can drink water, they can drink teas and coffees and stuff, whereas in Ramadan, you're not drinking anything at all. For the Christian, we are fasting from meat. And so it's actually a little bit more doable to get your training in, because you still have carbs and fats in your system, and probably protein if you're getting the right kind of nutrition, which we'll talk about in a bit. Easter this year is Sunday, April 20th. So if we are talking very short workouts, less than an hour, and you are able to get through them without eating, without drinking, and your body is used to that, before you break your fast would be ideal. Otherwise, if we're talking longer workouts, like hour plus, 2 hours, 3 hours, then you're going to want some kind of hydration. Otherwise, you're going to become severely dehydrated, and that brings a host of problems by itself. And B, you're going to want some kind of nutrition, depending on the intensity of the workout. If it's a zone 1, zone 2 ride, you could probably get away doing it fully fasted if you're just doing intermittent fasting. But if it is a zone 3, 4, 5, whatever ride, then you're going to want to have some kind of food, because your main source of energy there is going to come from carbs. So for the Christians, have anything, whether it be something that's vegan, obviously. So you can have fruits, you can have vegetables, you can have nut butters, you can have oatmeal, you can have all the stuff in the world that you need to have before your ride. Give yourself a few hours and train as normal. When it comes to Ramadan, you guys might want to wait until after iftar for a few hours until you break your fast, give yourself some time to digest, and then get your training in. Now, this is important. I know iftar can be a lot of food all at once, and so you tend to feel a little bit heavy, and it's hard to get a good workout in when you fuel like that. And it's because it's not really fueling, it's like feasting. And it takes a long time to digest. So what I would recommend, if possible, it's not possible for everyone. Everyone has unique situations and circumstances, but if it is possible, try to limit the heaviness of the meal. So like eat, but eat something that you know will fuel you well for your workout, that sat well with you in your past before, maybe even your normal pre-workout meal. And then after the workout, you can eat a little bit more and like feast or whatever you need to do. The other option is for Ramadan specific, before suhoor. And so doing it right before, that gives you some time, you'll have energy in you, and B, you'll have the option to have a post-workout meal. Because here's the deal. Training and recovery is a delicate balance, and food is what dictates that balance. What do I mean by that? If you get a hard session in, right, you push yourself to the max, and then you procrastinate eating for about 1, 2, 3 hours, the science is now showing, and this is very obvious, that recovery is delayed. And thus, your recovery and adaptation for the next day and how you perform the next day is affected. Real quick, if this is helpful for you, please do me a favor, and I'm going to ask you to share it with someone who you think might benefit from it. That is probably the only way that this channel consistently grows, and we can help more people to train with purpose, to crush their training, to see the results that they always wanted to see. So if this was helpful, please go ahead and share it. It means the world. Back to the video. Now, obviously this depends on the intensity of the workout and what you're doing and how long it is and whatnot, but essentially if you fail to fuel and kickstart that recovery process immediately after, and you wait, let's say 2 or 3 hours, then your performance the next day decreases by a significant amount. And we don't want that to happen. So having that time to, refuel after a ride is crucial. If you are planning on training first thing in the morning before eating something, then doing it with a big dinner in your stomach from the night before, especially if you know it's going to be an intense training session. So for strength training, you want to have something in there because your training is directly impacted by your food. So not only are you performing better and recovering faster, but, and this is something that happens a lot during fasting, when your body doesn't have adequate amounts of protein or even carbs, what happens is, and this is because we're in a catabolic state, your body eats up the muscle, to put it really simply. And it literally breaks down muscle tissue to get fuel. And so a lot of people hop on the scale and they'll see, oh my gosh, I'm so much lighter, and little do they know they're actually losing muscle. So that's why protein especially is essential, but carbs help save this process as well. But essentially, nutrition in and around the strength training and the cycling and everything should be dialed in. Have a plan in place so that you know, okay, I'm going to train right after or right before, I break my fast, or I'm going to train a few hours after I have this meal, and then I'll have this meal instead. So literally have a plan in place. Otherwise, you are planning to fail with all of this. The last thing I would say is go easy on yourself, because during this time, it's very common that a lot of athletes lose performance. And it makes sense. Your world is literally turned upside down for some of you. For others, it's just a minor inconvenience that you can't have chicken or something like that. But, the world is turned upside down. It makes sense that you're going to lose performance. So have grace with yourself. And sometimes the best thing we can do is maintain the performance. Focus on getting enough protein in, which is most important here. Focus on carb timing. So timing before your ride and during your ride and after your ride to make sure you are fueling properly and to make sure you're recovering well. Focus on fats and getting the healthy fats into your diet, which will provide you with energy for the rest of the time when you're fasted, because they are a little bit slower to digest and have a lot more energy per unit compared to carbs and proteins. And take it easy on yourself. Don't expect so much of yourself when your body is literally entering a catabolic state. Just do what you can, have zero expectations. I know that sucks to say, but genuinely have zero expectations and just hop in and enjoy your training. It doesn't have to be intense. Just this is what I always say to my clients. This is a month where we do it more so for the enjoyment and for the exercise and for the physical health benefits rather than to hit personal records and to hit amazing personal bests and new fastest times. And it's not going to happen. Maybe in some rare circumstances you might, but for the most part, just show up, do what is required, do the work that you've set out for yourself, and have fun, because that's what it takes to continue maintaining your progress during this season. Hope this helps. Chat soon.